And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey, we're taking a look at the Signature Series. We're taking a look at the last game in the series today, and that is Venture. These are 3 games designed by Sackson many years ago, and they've been reissued and republished. You can buy them separately or together from Griffin Games. Now, if you've watched my first 2 videos, you know that I love Sleuth and had a very opposite reaction with Monad. So now we come to the tiebreaker, Venture. Venture is a game about capitalism, about buying businesses and making money from that. It definitely has, it's a card game, definitely has a bit of a in-your-face aspect to it. Let me show you. In the middle of the table, you have a venture deck, and each of these ventures shows different things. You have shipping and steel and real estate and oil. There's actually 6 different colors. Also, they have a different symbol on them, so you can see which one is which. And then they have different values that can range from 8 million to 24 million. And then players are going to have a whole handful of venture cards. And on your turn, will go around the table, and players will take turns until this whole deck is gone through here, so that it's a good amount of turns that you have. You will be able to spend the vast amounts of money that you will have in your hand. Most of these cards from this profit deck that you have, or this venture deck, the profit deck, will be money. So I might say, ooh, here's 2, 3, and 5. So I add those together, 8, 16 million, and I'll buy this one here. Now, you don't get change when you buy stuff, but you can buy as much stuff as you want from the middle and put it in front of you. Now, a couple things. There's all kinds of cards in here that range from 1, 3, 5, 8 million, then 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20 million. You say, well, that's not fair if I get a bunch of 20s, and you get a bunch of 1s, 3s, and 5s. But you'll notice that 1s, 3s, 5s, and 8s all have a symbol on them, a circle, a square, or a triangle. If you have 2 of the same symbol, let's say, for example, I have 2 triangles. That's 16 million. That's pretty impressive. It's not 6 million, 16. If you have 3 of the same symbol, that's 32 million. And if you have 4 of the same symbol, that's 64 million. You can have your 20 million. I'm so rich. So anyhow, when you buy one of these from the middle of the table, you will place it in front of you. That is now a corporation that you own, and you'll replace it from the deck. Then when you buy another corporation, you can put that in front of you, or you can put it in a stack with the first one. However, to put a card in a stack, that card must be a different color than the first card, and must also have one letter that matches. Here they have a B. If I buy this card, I cannot put this in the set. You say, but they both have D's. But there has to be one letter that's common to the whole set. And so there is no B in this set, so I'd have to put this over here. If I bought this card, oh, that's a B, but I already have a dark blue card in the set. So I could put that in my other set since they both have D's in them. And so you'll be making these sets. Now, on your turn, you can rearrange your cards if you want to, but whenever you do that, that's called a reorganization, and it costs you 1 million for every organization that you have. So it cost me 4 million if I wanted to reorganize right now. Now, as the game progresses, there are 2 profit cards in the profit deck. These will show up at various points in time. You're never really sure when they're going to show up. And these cards are going to reward players profit-wise. And since the profit deck will be shuffled many times during the course of the game, every time these comes up, you pause the game. That card is, the player who draws it just puts it at the middle table and draws a replacement card, and you will then score. So let's say, for example, I had these 2 in front of me. Now, this is great. This is all 6 colors, and they all have a matching letter. They all have A in them. If I have 6 corporation, that's worth 20 million, 20 points. If I have 5, it's worth 8. 4, that's worth 3, and 3 is worth 1. So here, this is 4, so that's only worth 3 million. But it's actually worth a little bit more than that, because if you notice in this corporation here, I matched 2 letters all the way through. I have E's and F's. Hurrah! If you ever match 2 letters in a corporation, you will double the profit. So this is not worth 3. This is actually worth 6. And if you have 3 letters that are the same, which is really difficult, then you would triple the profit, and so on and so forth. So you mark these down, and you'll keep going. The game continues to go as players buy these as they keep coming out. Now, there's a couple other profit cards that we want to talk about, because these are evil and bad. You have proxy fights. You can take over someone else's card. So let's say I want this 20 million card that you have here, because it's A, C, E, and F. That's 4 letters. You can go into a lot of things that I have. So what I do is I play this proxy fight card here. It says 1.5 times. So this costs 20, so I pay 30 million, not to you. I discard 30 million worth of cards. I take this from you and put it onto my display. I can only take your top card, but I can play each one of these. This one's cheaper. It's 1 time, so I only have to pay 16 million for this one. This one is half time, so this one I would only have to pay 4 million to take that one. So if I had all 3 of those and I had the appropriate money, I could take from you. Now, players are only drawing 2 cards at the end of each of their turn, and if they don't play any cards, they have to discard one. So, I mean, you could build a giant hand of money, but it will take you a while to do so. Meanwhile, you're better off just buying and getting as many of these as you can. When the whole deck is gone through, there's one last profit scoring, and then you add up the scores, and whoever has the most points is the winner. I very much enjoyed Venture. It's a very entertaining game. There's a lot of things going on. It doesn't have a huge chunk of theme to it, because when I buy oil versus buying an auto plant or so on, there's no difference really. It's about buying cards that are give you letters that match up and trying to form basically groups of cards. So I guess maybe this is like some super advanced evil rummy variant. I don't know. It is interesting. The properties that cost more, like the ones that cost 24, have many more letters. The ones that cost only 8 have 1 letter. And which one will you put on the top? When you reorganize, do you put your cheap one on the top so that when someone steals it from you, well, at least they only got one of your cheap cards? Or do you put an expensive one on the top, hoping they won't fork out the money to take that from you? Things like that are very interesting, and when to take a card from somebody else. And should you save up when you have money in your hand? Is it better to save up so you can really just buy a lot? Or do you need to buy that one card on the table right now? Now, these aren't tough decisions, and you won't lay awake at night thinking about them, but you certainly will enjoy it during the game, and you'll find yourself engrossed even on other players' turns, because you'll be sitting there with your heart pounding, hoping that they do not steal a card from you. The evil jerks. Yeah, those cards where you can buy cards from someone else, that can completely change the game. And do not be afraid if when you're playing the game, you find that as the game progresses, you're behind, because you can easily come back, and a couple profit cards in a row with you suddenly having a group of 6. Those group of 6 is huge chunk. 20 million to get from those 6 is a big chunk, is a big difference over 8 million for having 5. That's more than double. That's a big deal. And so if someone has a group of 6, it's often profitable to steal from them regardless, just to keep that from happening. So a lot going on in this game. You'll get a lot of dirty looks. There will be a lot going on, but it's quick, fast, and fun, and a very simple concept. I really like that letter matching idea, and I'm surprised that no one has used that I can think of in too many games since then, because it has some neat aspects to it. So a fun game. I don't like it better than Sleuth in this series, but almost as much. Those 2 games are great. Has a nice old-timey look to it, a small box, easy to keep. One I recommend very highly, Venture.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.
Shut the door.